Welcome, O seekers of the strange, to Unveiling the Unusual. I'm your host, Elowen Cross, and tonight we step into the shadows of the British countryside, a place of gentle rolling hills, ancient woodlands, and quiet villages where nothing out of the ordinary ever seems to happen, but where something is lurking just beyond the edges of our vision. A flash of black in the hedgerows, a pair of unblinking golden eyes watching from the trees, a deep guttural growl rolling through the misty morning air. For decades, people across the UK have reported sightings of large predatory cats, animals that should not exist here. And yet, the evidence tells a different story. This is Case 6, the Phantom Big Cats of Britain. The Beast of Bodmin Moor, the Surrey puma, the fen tiger, the Durham panther. These names have haunted headlines for over a century, whispered in the pubs and farms of rural Britain. The stories follow the same eerie pattern. A lone driver on a quiet country road catches a glimpse of something large and feline slinking across the tarmac. Farmers wake up to find sheep brutally mauled, their injuries unlike anything caused by a fox or a dog. Hikers in the countryside feel the unsettling sensation of being watched, only to spot a large muscular cat vanishing into the undergrowth. The British Isles are not supposed to have wild big cats. There are no native species of panthers, leopards or mountain lions roaming our forests. And yet, the sightings continue. The New Forest, Hampshire, an ancient stretch of woodland, its twisting oaks and dense undergrowth hiding secrets older than the country itself. It was here, in the autumn of 2020, that Paul Ramsden, an experienced wildlife photographer, had an encounter that shook him to his core. Paul had spent years tracking native species, capturing foxes, deer and badgers through his lens. But one evening, just as the last light was slipping behind the trees, he saw something that shouldn't have been there. At first he thought it was a large dog, until it moved. A sleek black shape slunk between the trees, moving with a grace no canine could match. When it turned its head toward him, he saw the unmistakable feline features, rounded ears, muscular shoulders, and piercing amber eyes. That locked onto his. It was a big cat, and it was watching him. He barely had time to react before it disappeared, melting silently into the undergrowth. Paul wasn't alone in his sighting. In the same area, a cyclist reported being followed along a remote path by a panther-like creature, and multiple residents have found deep claw marks on trees, far too large to be made by any native animal. One of the most compelling accounts comes from Dartmoor, 1988. A farmer named Eric Lay woke one morning to a scene of carnage. Several of his sheep were ripped apart, their carcasses not just killed, but eaten, with puncture wounds too large to be from a fox or a badger. Then, something caught his eye in the distance. A sleek black shape, larger than a Labrador, moved silently through the mist. It had powerful shoulders, a long tail curling behind it, and a low, fluid gait. The unmistakable prowl of a predator. Lay later told reporters,
"It was a big cat, no doubt about it. Not a dog, not a domestic cat gone feral. This thing was powerful and it moved like a hunter. I'd bet my life on it."
he wasn't alone. In 2009, a woman named Emma Adamson was walking her dog along a country lane near Stroud, Gloucestershire, when she heard something moving in the undergrowth. Her dog, usually fearless, froze, whining, ears pinned back. Then it emerged. Emma described it as huge, jet black, muscular, and its tail was as long as its body. It turned its head and they locked eyes for a moment. It wasn't afraid, it was just watching her. Then it slipped back into the woods, completely silent. She had never seen anything move like that. Even the police have had encounters. In 1994, an officer in Scotland reported seeing a large cougar-like animal sprint across the road in front of his car. He described it as too big to be a domestic cat, with a long sweeping tail and powerful limbs. His official report was taken seriously enough that an investigation followed, though unsurprisingly, no cat was found. There are several main theories about Britain's phantom big cats. One of the most widely accepted explanations links these animals to Britain's historical obsession with exotic pets. During the 1960s and 70s, it was surprisingly easy to buy a big cat. The wealthy elite often kept leopards, cougars and even cheetahs as pets, showing them off at private gatherings. Then, in 1976, the British government introduced the Dangerous Wild Animals Act, making it illegal to keep large predators without a costly licence. Some owners, unwilling or unable to comply, are believed to have simply released their cats into the countryside, and if even a few breeding pairs survived, their descendants could still be out there today, living in the shadows. Some believe that big cats have been living in Britain for centuries. Fossil evidence suggests that lynxes once roamed the British Isles before being hunted to extinction. Could an unknown population of escaped panthers or cougars have adapted to the wild, thriving undetected in remote areas? Eyewitness accounts are compelling, but what about hard evidence? Over the years, several pieces of physical proof have surfaced. In Gloucestershire, 1983, a large paw print was found in the snow, 4 inches wide, far bigger than any dog's. Experts identified it as belonging to a big cat, possibly a leopard. In 2005, a deer carcass was found in Exmoor, with deep claw marks on its flanks, the kind only a large feline predator could leave. And again in 2011, a deer carcass in Gloucestershire was found with puncture wounds and claw marks that experts said were consistent with a large cat attack. And in the New Forest itself, motion-activated wildlife cameras have captured fleeting images of large, muscular creatures with feline features. Though skeptics argue they could simply be foxes or domestic cats caught at odd angles. The most compelling piece of evidence? DNA analysis. In 2022, a laboratory confirmed that a hair sample taken from a fence in Gloucestershire matched the DNA of a big cat, most likely a black leopard. Proof, at last, that something unusual is out there. Despite decades of sightings, grainy photographs and eerie encounters, the British big cat mystery remains unsolved. Are these animals the last survivors of an abandoned pet trade? A secret population hiding in the shadows? Or something far more elusive? Creatures that defy our understanding of the natural world? Perhaps one night, when you're walking alone down a country path, you'll hear something, a soft rustle in the undergrowth, a set of eyes watching you from the darkness. And in that moment, you might just believe. Join me next time on Unveiling the Unusual as we uncover another mystery lurking just beyond the veil. Until then, keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and remember, the unusual is often hiding in plain sight.